FNAF has a load of different animatronics, and a load of different versions of those animatronics. However, Freddy Fazbear is still the most modified FNAF character of them all. With like 18 different canon versions, not including AR skins, you know that there's going to be some crazy ones that the fans have made, because they don't really have to adhere to the lore of the series. But honestly, it seems like Scott doesn't really have to either. But no matter, those fan versions of Freddy are what we're exploring today. Let's do it. In at 10, Nightmare Dreadbear. Dreadbear is a recent addition to the FNAF Freddy roster, being introduced in the Curse of Dreadbear DLC for FNAF Help Wanted, and I mean, it is a good design, okay? It's combining Frankenstein's monster with Freddy Fazbear. But the character overall wasn't all that scary, until someone made a Nightmare version and a load of other people hopped on the bandwagon like it was on its way to Helgen. And whether it be a combination of Dreadbear and Nightmare Freddy, or like hell, even just a recolored Nightmare Fredbear, these versions of Dreadbear are vastly more terrifying than the original. I think Dreadbear is my personal favorite version of Fredbear. I love that DLC, honestly, it's so good. Although Shamrock Freddy is a close second. I don't know why my favorite Freddys are green, but oh well. In at 9, Steampunk Funtime Freddy. No doubt inspired by the Steampunk event for FNAF AR, Steampunk Freddy is one of the tamer variants on this list. And while just changing the character to be stealing gold may do the trick, the different interpretations are what really make this version scary enough for the list. Particularly the Steampunk Titan Funtime Freddy, created by Hero Golem on DeviantArt. This thing looks like a beast and would honestly make me defecate in my pants, even if they aren't gold and are instead purple, okay? I have no doubt that this thing would crush me in a dark alley. I'm too scared to say that this thing isn't steampunk because there's no copper or something, because I feel like if I do say that, then they're gonna like come out of the screen and snap my neck. And you know what? This is like the second one on this list, okay? Just wait till you see the others. It's gonna be wild. Haha. Yeah. In at 8, Phantom Freddy. The Phantom animatronics are hallucination variants of the original animatronics who haunt Fazbear's fright throughout the nights in FNAF 3, okay? I know that they're actually in the games, but like, wait for it. The Freddy Files book also points out that these hallucinations also appear burnt, suggesting that they're warning you what's to come, okay? The Phantom animatronics first appeared in FNAF 3 as side antagonists, and some of them returned in Ultimate Custom Night, and then they all came back in Help Wanted. However, I know what you're thinking, okay? Connor, Phantom Freddy isn't a fan character, okay? He's just a version of normal Freddy. And you know what? While at surface level, you would be correct, there is actually a theory that makes this technically a fan version of Golden Freddy. That's right, I'm twisting the rules because it's fun. Phantom Freddy's model actually resembles Golden Freddy's appearance in the second game, due to the missing ear and the wires coming out of its eyes, and even the way that his hat is actually slightly tilted to the left. This has led many people to believe that the Phantom actually represents Golden Freddy instead, and after brightening up his jump scare, you can see that Phantom Freddy is actually really similar to Golden Freddy. This is also further supported in the code, as his events are listed under Golden Freddy instead of Phantom Freddy. So yeah, you know what? A fan theory makes this a fan character of a different version of Freddy. It's good enough for me. And at 7, Burnt Funtime Freddy. Speaking of hallucinations, what about the Burnt Funtime Freddy? Funtime Freddy wasn't even created at the time of the FNAF 3 fire, at least for us. In universe it was, but like not for us. So there was no way for them to really burn, since the next fire in the series is in the FNAF 6 pizzeria, and at that point they had turned into Molten Freddy. So this wouldn't really be able to exist in the FNAF universe, but hey, that's just semantics, okay? We don't care what's canon, at least during fan lists. There are people who legit hate this channel because I suggest things that like Michael is the crying child, and also they hate me because I said that like Five Nights at Wario's was a bad game, even though that whole list was supposed to be a joke. But you know what? Oh well. YouTuber Wikipedia can suck. There's also a hate post on the FNAF fandom page about the top 10 reasons Michael is the crying child video, okay? Sorry for suggesting an idea. Anyways, I'm getting off track. What I'm trying to say is that while this wouldn't make sense, that's the fun of it. Speculating and going to crazy lengths is what makes theorizing fun. And Burnt Funtime Freddy is the perfect example of that. It doesn't make sense, but it's still goddamn creepy. And while I could sit here and nitpick the character, I'm not, because if I ever saw this thing, even in the light of day, not even at night, I am running faster than I ever have before in the opposite direction, and that's on God, because I would probably be meeting him soon after, or maybe Oliver Queen, depending on what storyline is right. I'm bringing DC into it too. Boom! Arrow bursts! In its 6th, Golden Glamrock Freddy. Golden Glamrock Freddy isn't a real character, obviously, but despite this, there are plenty of fan-made versions of Golden Glamrock Freddy, especially given his absence in the game, along with various golden references like the golden stack shoe, the golden plushie, etc. Whether they just be recoloring him, changing the palette, or making him pure metal, Golden Glamrocks are all over the place on Google Images and other sites like DeviantArt, but don't go too deep. Otherwise, you'll end up like me, constantly having nightmares of animatronics doing unsightly things and having to clear your search history on the regular. Luckily, I'm not logged into my own account at work, so have fun with those ads. But at least, you know what? At least it's a nightmare. But given the theory in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, if I'm having nightmares of being forced to watch animatronic coitus parties, a version of me in a different universe actually has to suffer through that, which is terrifying to think about. I wonder if anyone ever dreams through my eyes, then wakes up thinking that it was a nightmare. Halfway through it at number 5, Golden Call. Golden Call from the Dreadbear universe is more or less like Springtrap design-wise. He is a spring-locked suit with a corpse inside of him, and he has actually become green due to his color rotting and fading away. Half of Golden Call's left ear is bent, causing it to stick out in an angle, and his other ear is intact, although there is some small withering on its sides. He has a black top hat that's mainly withered towards the base, and he has a small right hole above his eye socket for some reason. They say that it's withering, although that doesn't really make sense. But I mean, like, the hole also appears to be connected to his right eye socket, which makes it slightly bigger than normal, or like, and then on the left side of his head there's a huge hole from withering, okay? I mean, and there's a bit more withering on the other side of his head too. He's in a mess, okay? Another batch of a red substance is sticking to the top section of his head, or like to that section, the left side, right side, whatever it is, which is most likely blood or some form of flesh. Golden Call also has a set of endoskeleton eyes in his head that have red pupils, and then the eyes of his corpse are then hanging out below those and just dangling in his face. Great. Those eyes are blue, because that matters. He has a bit of withering on his snout. His lower jaw is just, it has some withering as well. It's messed up, okay? What organs that you could see, I don't want to know what those are, okay? And his entire torso is heavily just destroyed. And his pelvis has like a single hole in the front of it that reveals some form of blood vessel or muscles. But you know what? Given its placement, I don't really want to inquire further, so I'm gonna move on. And at 4, Ignited Freddy. Ignited Freddy is one of the main antagonists of the Joy of Creation fan game, which will have a new Ignited collection released as part of the Fazbear Fanverse initiative, ironically enough. In this game, you play as Scott Cawthon, whose creations have escaped the game and are actually coming after you. Ignited Freddy appears to be a burnt and charred Freddy Fazbear animatronic. He has no bottom jaw, exposing its endoskeleton's bottom set of rusty teeth. While you may have lost your frontal lobe in the bite of 87, this one is gonna give you tetanus too. And his left ear is also just gone, because of course it is. Ignited Freddy wears a top hat like his original counterpart and basically every other version on this list, but both of his hands are missing, along with the suit on his shins and his left forearm, okay? He has no eyes, only black holes with white pupils that stare into your soul, or in my case, the void. But yeah, you know what, at this point, not having eyes and like just having white pupils is like a staple of creepy animatronics, and I'm here for it. It makes it terrifying. Getting close to the end, at number 3, Monster Toy Freddy. Monster Toy Freddy, I guess, seems to be a fan character of a fan game, since it's a retextured version of the Monster Rat from Five Nights at Candy's, unironically another fan game set to have a new sequel in the Fazbear Fanverse initiative. However, Monster Toy Freddy doesn't actually exist in the games as far as I know. I don't think that he's ever been in a FNAF game, which would make sense. And while this is meant to be Toy Freddy, the characters and versions I found online were basically just reskins of the Monster Rat and not really adding any additional features or anything aside from like maybe a microphone, a top hat, and a bow tie, and they're like, hey, he's Freddy. But I'm already scared of the Monster Rat, so you know what? This is good enough for me. Plus, there's Monster Golden Freddy that also pops up when you search for Monster Toy Freddy. So yeah, that's definitely a sight to see, although I gotta save the golden version for a different list if this gets a part 2. But ultimately, into number 2, Phantom Glamrock Freddy. While Phantom Glamrock Freddy isn't the most terrifying animatronic, it's still unsettling to see an animatronic that's supposed to be helping us in the last game get turned into a phantom animatronic. And you know what? Considering my trust issues from Baby, that's why it's at number 2, okay? It's crazy. It's nuts. While not horrific, it still puts me on edge and makes me wish that I didn't have to make these lists. This is definitely scarier than some other versions, okay? Phantom Glamrock Glamrock Freddy is actually fairly visually appealing as well, which is concerning considering how it's supposed to be terrifying, but like it does this in a still pretty creepy kind of way. But it's like a nice to look at creepy, the kind that you can't really look away from. So yeah, well done. I'm gonna have trust issues forever now. And finally, in at number 1, Sinister Freddy. Sinister Freddy, while being the thumbnail of many of videos, was actually intended on releasing in the cancelled Sinister Turmoil fan game. Instead of the full game, however, we got Sinister Turmoil Sewers, which is a small section of what the full game would have been. Sinister Freddy is a brown animatronic bear with a lighter shade of brown on his stomach, snout, and the inside of his ears, as you do with cartoon bears. He appears to have damage on his suit, but small and sharp teeth, and of course, no eyes. His whole suit appears to be severely withered, having large rips and tears in several places of his body. He also sports a large needle-like weapon on both of his wrists, because of course he freaking does. He also appears to have like small geometrically shaped claws and nails in addition to those blades. So yeah, Sinister Freddy also has a mouth filled with all those sharp teeth that are like under his body, and like you can see them more, and I don't like it, okay? It's terrifying. It always deserves to be number 1, even or over the Dominibus animatronics, okay? Those are just an easy number 1, although at this point, Sinister animatronics are definitely a staple of number 1s. But you know what? That's fine. That's fine, because you know it's creepy. All right, I don't like it. I mean, I do like it, but like not for the right reasons. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I have been Inshallah Connor Monroe, and I'll see you in another video. Yeah, energy. Yeah.